27 tests. What about that? 27 tests. Imagine playing 27 tests, 113 wickets at an average of 23. That is handy numbers, and he's doing the same now with the South Australian side. Ryan Harris, welcome back to the Run Home with Joel and Fletch. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Joel. Nice to chat to you again, mate.
Let's go back to this the other day. You're taking on Tasmania. It's a big game because if you win this, you go to the top of the ladder. Here's what happened.
One more delivery. Meredith on strike. Gives himself room. They'll run at least one. They turn for two. You've probably got a punt. Or Lawrence Neil-Smith has gone back. I don't know what he's done that for, because at the very least, they were going to have a draw. They've been run out, and South Australia have won on the last ball. I've never seen anything like it.
What was that like in the coach's box?
Yeah, well, actually by then I'd made my way down to the boundary line with the rest of the team. Basically both teams are sitting side by side, but it was quite amazing. Firstly for them to bat so well and get so close, and get 380 runs in a day, which probably we weren't at our best with the ball, but yeah, the closing stages were unbelievable. Just every run they were sort of clapping and they were getting closer, and all of a sudden it was just like, got to the end of that, and we just all jumped up and took a second and just sort of said, what just happened? It was quite phenomenal. But yeah, the whole day was just emotional, up and down. I ride the game pretty hard, so I was really happy. At one stage we were taking a couple of wickets and I got really angry, and I was really happy and really angry and really happy. So
wow.
Great result in the end, but just a phenomenal game of cricket.
Hey Rhino, what type of coach are you? Have you got a blow up in you?
Yeah, I do. I blow up at myself a lot. I've learned to channel it a bit. I'm pretty emotional, and I show my emotion when I'm in the box when there's no players around. If there's players around, I'm a lot better than what I used to be. But I haven't had to have a blow up yet. Last year I probably gave the bowlers a bit of a rev up early in the season, but I haven't had to have many blow ups at all, and I haven't had one this year. So. I sort of try and take a moment after a game. If I get quite frustrated and angry, I don't debrief straight away. I take my time and have a bit of a think about it and speak to other coaches, and that normally calms me down. And try and find the positives where I can. So I haven't had to do it yet.
Well, you even see it with kids, don't you? After a game, when the coaches give a half an hour speech, they're not even listening by then. They're all tuned out. So let them breathe.
That's right.
Hey, Rhino, quick one. You were very kind to come on at late notice before the first test, Australia versus India, and because you're coaching young McSweeney. The first test didn't go his way, and it must have been a long week for him waiting for the next one to come round, and he gets picked again. And I bet you were proud to see him get a few runs last start. Yeah,
I absolutely was, and you're right. I had a couple of chats with him in that week, and he was hanging out for another opportunity to show what he could do. I think ultimately, he didn't get a lot. He obviously got one real good opportunity. He got 39, which he liked. Obviously, would have been liked to have a bigger score than that. But the thing for me was the spell he faced on that second night, I think it was, when they went out to bat. Generally talk about pink ball cricket, day night test cricket, or day night cricket, with that ball in general, is that real tough time to bat is that dusk when the shadows are coming over, the lights are sort of just taking over, and the way he sort of took the heat, with Bumrah, the way he was bowling, and the other Indian bowlers, but that was a real test. And I'll be honest, we were sitting in a nice little pub in Hobart, just watching that session, myself and my two coaches. Obviously, my batting coach, who works for me, Stephen Stubbins, does a lot of work with Nathan, and he just sort of looked at me as he was walking out, thinking this is going to be hard work, and he got through it. I think that was probably the most positive thing about, although he only got 39, I think that session actually probably would have proved to himself that he's good enough, because it was bloody hard work. So, seeing that happen, and obviously, again, not getting the score he probably would have wanted, but to be able to get through that, and the quality of bowling was, I think he'll take massive, or he will take a lot of confidence out of that.
Righto, Coach. Chatting with Coach Ryan Harris. Ryan Harris, who leads the way in Shield cricket. What are we doing with Smithy?
With Steve Smith?
Yeah, what do we do?
Well, he's do you know what? I haven't got the answer to that, because one thing, he obviously, I think I said, or I heard somewhere or read somewhere that, he obviously missed that ball in Perth and LBW, so he didn't go far enough, didn't go far, or as far across the stumps this game. Now he went too far again, or, Smithy's always, no matter what happens, he's always working. He's always, he's always doing something different with his technique. And, I'll guarantee, come Brisbane in a few days' time, there'll be something else different again. But, yeah, look, that's not an easy answer because the way Smith bats and thinks and approaches the game, there's always work in progress. Look, it's unusual for him to have a low patch. So expect him to, what does he say, find his hands. He'll find his hands hopefully this week and he'll come out in Brisbane and score a big 100 hopefully.
Well, Rhino, you know what, I'm certainly no cricket doyen, but I've seen it too many times. Champions just get off the canvas, and I kind of feel like if it was me on the line, I'd just have to go with him. In the event we didn't go with him, or when eventually we don't, you're coaching at the Shield level, so you're seeing these guys, you're studying these guys. Who is that player or those players who would be just about ready to jump into the Cedar Smithies?
Oh, if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think there's any standout at the moment. I think there's a number of guys that could do it, but there's no real. I don't think any huge standout. I think probably the one option I think would be, maybe you drop you drop maybe Nathan McSweeney down to 4 and maybe bring in Sam Konstas, for example. I think he's going to be a very good player. I don't think he's quite ready for Test cricket yet, personally, but that could be an option. He's obviously. Give him a year to dominate Shield cricket, which he's done all right so far. So I think that could be an option, maybe dropping Nathan down. But at the moment, there's a number of guys around the country that are just sort of there and thereabouts, but no one's really putting their hand up. So, but I don't think we don't need to turn Smithy out too soon. He's still got hopefully a couple of years left in him, and as you say, he's a champion. He'll get off the canvas, and hopefully we'll see that this week.
Hey, Rhino, we're chatting with, of course, Ryan Harris, coach of the South Australian side, former Australian legend himself. I mentioned I'm no doyen of cricket. Well, this bloke, the voice you're about to hear, he's less than me. And he's been sitting there waiting impatiently, but he just wants to come in with a bit of a night watchman stint here. Kempy, you've been building up for this question. What do you got?
Yeah, building up massively. How you going, mate? Listen,
I'm good.
I've been speaking to my casual friends of cricket that enjoy cricket. When do you reckon Travis Head will get... Like when we talk about Marnus and Steve Smith, granted they've been in the game a bit longer and they're front of the batting order, everything. But Travis Head has had some incredible moments these last 2 years. How much longer do you reckon he has to bat like this? But for the wider audience to start putting him in the same breath as those guys that I just mentioned.
Good question, Kempy.
That is a good question. I think ultimately you got to look at stats. I think cricket's a stats game, isn't it? So. At some stage, if he was to go on and score another 10 then he's going to be spoken about as one of our greats again. And I think you got to look at the stats. So you look at Steve Smith's stats and all the great stats of the players of the past. They're lots of hundreds, average in the high 40s, if not in the 50s. So Trav's not far away from that. Whether or not he can keep going and doing what he does, he can be hit and miss. But when he's on, he's phenomenal. He's obviously great to watch as well. So. That's a tough question to answer. I just think, as I said, you got to look at in 5-6 years' time when he if he was to hang up the boots and just look back and go, well, what was his stats like? What was his average? As I said, the thing about it is he's going to do it. And he's going to do it fast, and he's going to entertain. I think if you speak to him, that's exactly what he aims to do. He likes to put on a show. He knows that sometimes it's not going to work, but by the looks of it, the way the team's going and the plans that they have, they're happy for him to go out and bat the way Travis bats. And I think Andrew McDonald and Pat Cummins enjoy watching it.
And, mate, a few years ago, Cam Green bursts onto the scene and he's been injured recently. Let's say Australia go on to win this series, where does he kind of land in the makeup of things?
Yeah, that's another really good question. I think it's whether or not Cameron Green's going to be able to bowl. I think we've seen Mitch Marsh probably struggle a little bit. I think Australia need that fourth bowler and generally the all-rounder, and I think Cameron Green fits that bill beautifully. It showed already he's better at the top. He can bat anywhere in that middle order, so there's no doubt that in my mind that when he's fit again, that they'll get him. Sure, they'll have to get him in somehow back into that team, and I don't think it'll be at the top, but somewhere in that middle order. It might be, unfortunately, for Mitchell Marsh, but Cameron Green's an enigma. He's unbelievable, and he's shown how good he is and what he can do at that level. So I would think that when he's well and back fit, he slides back into that side.
Rhino, the night watchman's fired up here.
Okay, I'm fired up. I've got one more for you. This might be a harder one.
Go for it. Yeah.
Hazelwood or Boland?
Ooh, good question.
Oof, oof. Good question. I would say Hazelwood because of what he's done for so long. But you just that's a tough one. If you could squeeze both of them in, why not? And I think I saw an article today that might be an option for the Gabba, and maybe the goat misses out, which would be an unusual thing. That wouldn't be a bad thing. But
is that a bit of self-interest? Do you want him back in your team? Is that why?
Yeah, well, I wish I could have him.
Yeah.
Look, I think Scotty Boland, he's obviously sat behind the big three for a while now, but every opportunity he gets, he just comes in and nails it, which, like Paddy Cummins said, I think in one of his press conferences, like to have a guy like Hazelwood go out and then Scott come in and do what he does, it's just a luxury. It's virtually the same ball, probably not as quick, but he's unreal. So. Long-winded answer, don't know.
Yeah.
Either one of them, far out. But it's great to have that, that sort of that person come in when you lose, someone who's done so well. So I think, look, ultimately, again, Scotty seems to take wickets and get dropped because someone comes back, which is unusual as well, and unlucky.
Chatting with Ryan Harris. Final question, Rhino, and I think you're probably just about as good as anyone, maybe the best person to answer this. Australia has been criticised for people saying very, very thin the depth at the moment. Is that fact? Is it fiction? Is it fair? Is it unfair?
I think there is depth there. As I said before, there's not many standing out. Like there's no. I don't want to put anyone down by saying this.
No.
So there's guys that are sort of there and abouts, but no one's starting to, really breaking away from the pack. I think Sam Konstas is starting to show potentially he can do that. But again, for me, as a young 19-year-old, I think he's still got a little bit to learn. There's no doubt he can play the game. He's very good. I think one thing about Sam, and I work in previous jobs in pathways and watched Sam Konstas come through that, and he made 100 after 100 after 100. So the best thing about that, he knows how to score runs. So he's probably one that's emerging from the pack. But yeah, look, there's a little bit of depth in the bowling. I think there's some good quicks around. But the batting is what we need to be able to, give the quicks a chance to defend the score. So it's definitely there. It's just probably not. Yeah, everyone's sort of, I reckon, on an even playing field. So I've heard a little bit of talk about that, but let's hope over the next year or two that, and Sam being one of them, that someone breaks out and takes it by the scruff of the neck, and because there's going to be opportunities in the next 2 or 3 years with Aussie and Smith. So there's going to be the chance there. So if you're a young bloke coming through, get back into the nets and work it out because there's opportunities there if you want it.
Ryan Harris, you're a gem. The listeners love you, mate. Thanks again for joining the Run Home with Joel and Fletch.
Thanks, boys. Great chat. Thank you.